So what we're going to do today is basically set up our Mac to host a Laravel site. And I already use this Mac, I'm going to be honest, for PHP stuff. So what I've done just before recording this is I've removed all the programs which I thought I had to install to get it working, so that basically we're going to start again from scratch. There may be one or two little things in there, but I remember when I installed stuff, you go to ChatGPT, you go to Stack Overflow, you put the errors in, and you kind of find the solution. So hopefully this will be straightforward, because otherwise I'm in trouble, because I needed to work for the sites I already have on here. But we're going to install various pieces of software. Now, if you go to the Laravel site, it gives an instruction on how you can do it. If you go to laravel.com, documentation, installation here, which is the page you're on, and just on the right hand side, creating a Laravel application. And the absolute minimum things you're going to need are things like PHP, which I think we get by default on a Mac. Oh, by the way, all of this is based on the Mac. So I did try to install Windows as an emulator, but it just didn't want to play ball. If you're on Windows, what I would suggest is just use this line on your PowerShell. So right click, go to your start window, and where it says your start menu, and it comes up with PowerShell. I think you go to applications, is it PowerShell? But don't click it. What you have to do is right click it and then go to run as administrator. And you may or may not have to enter your administrator password, depending on what user you are. And then just copy and paste this whole line, all of that, and then you have Composer. Okay, so that's the Windows one, and Linux is kind of similar to the Mac, as in you can just run a command line. If you can use this on the Mac, I'm not going to use this because we're going to use some specific software that I use for all my Laravel production stuff. But if you just want to get started and you just want to use the basic stuff of Laravel, this is fine. This is absolutely fine. The idea is you want to get to the point where you can run Composer. That's kind of our first setup. But on a Mac, if you're using it for any significant amount of development, you will use a package manager. And a package manager is basically just a piece of software that allows you to install and uninstall regularly used, utility software. So this is Homebrew, and so to install Homebrew, it's literally this line. So it's similar to that other Laravel one. And what you can do is you can just copy that. If you paste that, now I think this will just say it's already installed or something, I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. Let's clear that. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is install Composer. Okay, so brew install Composer. So that's fine. We can check if we've got Composer installed. Composer-v, and yeah, a load of stuff comes up. If you get like Composer not found or something like that, then you will need to look at the setup on your computer, but we're good here. So we've now got back to the point where we can do this Composer. Now, this again, we don't want this global one. This is for like another utility so that you can do this Laravel new. I personally don't do this. Okay, I just stick with Composer to create my sites. You can if you want. There may be advantages to using this. I couldn't personally find any advantages specifically, other than maybe a little bit quicker to type. But I kind of like being verbose with my stuff. So again, let's clear the screen. And so just to show you where I am in my path, I am in my users, my name. Stupidly is the company that I run, and then I have this subfolder in there called sites, and all my websites that I create under the Stupidly brand sit in here. Okay, so we're now going to create a brand new Laravel site. Okay, let's just break down what's going on here. Composer. Composer is the library app, whatever you want to call it, framework. It's kind of a binary that you run. But Composer is the application that you're running here to do something. Okay. Now straight after Composer, you have to give it a command. You have to say, well, what do you want Composer to do? And in this instance, we want it to create project. Okay, so that's the instruction we're giving to Composer. Now, Composer is a package manager specifically for anything PHP related. So Composer, create project, which will be a PHP one. So the next bit, Laravel / Laravel. So what this does is this goes off to GitHub and it goes to the Laravel name on GitHub. In fact, we can find that. So that takes us to here. So this Laravel is basically telling Composer to go to here on GitHub and download, install, and run the scripts for the Laravel application. Okay, so that's what this is doing. Then when it's got that, it needs to put it somewhere. So the next command on this line, skilled, is basically the name of the folder that we're going to install a Laravel application in. You can call that whatever you want, with any reasonable naming convention of a folder name. So I can press enter. That's, as you can see, that's now downloading. We're going to change a few of these settings because we're not going to use SQLite. We're going to use MySQL, but we're going to use our orb stack in order to manage that, which we'll come on to in a minute. But as you can see, everything's done. Everything's installed. Using Composer, we've got our Laravel site installed. So now we can cd into that folder we've just created, cd into skilled, brand new. If we do ls and have a look, and there's our Laravel application. But how do we run it? How do we get that into the browser and run it? What I've found to be the best is something called orbstack and ddev, which is what we're going to use. So the first thing we want to do now is install orbstack. Okay, brew install orbstack, and because it's under the casks category, we say -- cask. Okay, so we're coming hopefully to the end of the installation now. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, so orbstack is installed. The other thing we need to install now is ddev. So let's see if we can find ddev. Okay, now notice it's a formula. It's a formula. So we don't need to install as a cask. I think a cask is basically a compiled program, whereas a formula is just a library of code that you can run. Okay, so ddev is installed now as well. That's brilliant. So I think that's it for the minute. We will install the database manager in a moment, the thing that allows us to access the database, which is SQL Ace. But for now, I just want to see if we can get the site up and running. Okay, so because this is the first time we're running orbstack and ddev, it might not work the way I expect. So what I'm going to do is say what I would normally do if I was setting up a site, if I had everything installed, is I'd say ddev start inside the folder that you're working on. So notice we're in the skilled folder there. I'm pointing at it with my finger, as if you can see that. But we're in the application, the Laravel application now. So we'll do ddev start. Let's see what happens. Okay, could not connect to Docker. Please start or install a Docker provider. Now, that's orbstack. So what we need to do is open orbstack. Okay. Now that can just sit in the background. As you can see, I've had some stuff here before where I've been doing this. Don't worry about this. Yours will be a lot emptier than this. So don't worry about it, okay? It's just because I've uninstalled it, reinstalled it. So let's try again. Ddev start. Okay, you seem to have a new ddev version. During an upgrade, it's important to ddev power off. May I do ddev power off before continuing? This does no harm and loses no data. Well, yeah, I mean, let's do that. Okay, so failed to start project, could not find a project. Skilled, have you run ddev config? Please specify a project name or change directories. Right, so yeah, I missed a step here because I was testing it. So the first thing we need to do, because it's a brand new site, because we haven't run ddev in this folder before, so we run ddev config, okay? That creates a .ddev folder. You can see that there, .ddev. And in amongst that, amongst other things, you'll have a config.yaml file, okay? So it's asking us for some information here to carry on with. Project name, skilled, yeah. It wants to know the doc root location. Well, that's public in a Laravel site by default, so that's fine. The default is public. And then it says, what's your PHP framework? So I'm just going to press OK. Now it says we can run ddev start. And let's do ddev start. Okay, so it looks like it's starting to run. Everything else seems to be working fine. So we could take this as a win. Now to test it, we simply just need to go to this URL here. So if I click it, there we go. And there we go. We have our Laravel site up and running.